Welcome again to another episode of Never Ask Me These Questions Again about teaching in Japan. I realized that while I say that tongue-in-cheek, I need to be careful when I'm responding to people in the comments section, because I started to write that today where someone said, "Oh, what do you do this or this?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's perfect for my Never Ask Me These Questions Again videos I make." And I thought afterwards, I should probably let them know that that's a joke. But we got a few here, and I think they'll be useful. They are ones that I receive all the time. They bear repeating. So let's get into it in my even darker orange shirt today. The first one I'm going to start with, it's a fair question, and I actually made a dedicated video to talk about this before. And I won't just say it, I will put it down in the description below so you can check it out. And the question is, am I too old to teach in Japan? And without belaboring the issue here, because it's easy to go on at length, and in fact I did for about 15 minutes in the video dedicated to it. No, you're never too old. I've known people in their 50s and above who are teaching in Japan, and often in direct hire positions where they make decent money. They're very happy. The sort of philosophy that I like to inject into it is that you will always feel too young or too old for something, and it's really an in your head personal limitation that you're putting on yourself needlessly. And I would appeal to the fact that this is a point I made in the other video, that where things seem impressive when somebody has done them when they're quite young, this actually works in the opposite order. As you get older, it's actually really impressive that somebody would reach the age of 50 and then do something so outside of the box, something so challenging like going to live in a foreign place. And while there is ageism, there would be that you are not exactly who they expected to come over, that everybody has a different hurdle to overcome. And so that's yours. You're a little bit older. It doesn't matter. Roll with it. You'll be fine. So am I too old? No, you're not too old. Don't worry about it. Never ask me again. The next one that I was going to talk about, and this was as a result of the previous video, is how is the teaching market in Japan? So are people still getting jobs? Is there a demand for it? I would say absolutely. And I think that so long as Japan's culture remains in this kind of intimidated to speak shyness, which I think it's simply a characteristic. With this characteristic of the Japanese people comes a lot of virtues. They're very considerate, but considerate to a fault. So long as you are that kind of person, and that's a lot of people in Japan, the need for tutors, the need for people to bring them out of their shell is incredibly valuable to the culture. And so I think it's going to thrive until teachers would be replaced by just as effective AIs, where they pass the Turing test. You can't tell whether or not it's a human, and this human is going to, or this AI is going to coach you. That will come one day. I think that teachers for a lot of things will be replaced by AIs. They're already majority replaced by YouTube tutorials, so it's coming. But I don't think the singularity is yet that near that you couldn't plan to, in the coming years, expect to come here and find a job. And especially if, like I will say ad infinitum, ad nauseum, that especially if you have the mindset that you'll use the teaching as a way to get into the country at an entry-level position, and then you move into something more advanced, be that IT, be that, I know some chefs doing some incredible things here, be that into an entrepreneurial position. You can do that as well, a sole proprietor, as they say. Especially, it's cool, the Japanese market there for teaching is going to be there so long as they really need teachers like they do, because of the kind of some of the cultural weaknesses, and as well, especially if you're looking to the future, that you might do something else afterwards and you don't see it as the end game to what you're doing in Japan. The next one, and this is maybe the biggest one that we were going to talk about from the previous video, was how would you compare dispatch companies compared to direct hire positions? The only time, there's a clear definition, the only time that a dispatch position would ever be better than a direct hire position is if you were really wanting more holidays and a much, much lighter workload. But to be completely honest, Quite often the holidays are just as good, and the workload is not necessarily going to be that much more because you're still within the public system. The biggest thing is that with a direct hire position, you have cut out the middleman. That's all a dispatch company is. It is a middleman that is taking some portion of your salary for themselves because they were able to get these teachers, which they can then dispatch out to the different boards of education. If you work directly for the Board of Education, then they're not paying that middleman, so that money goes into your pocket. So where you could expect, now that I've gotten a little bit of updated information, people were saying you're looking at dispatch companies paying you something like 215,000 yen, 220 or something like that. You would not make any less than 280,000 yen starting, and you could go upwards of 330, 350,000 yen per month, and you can get bonuses, and you get your, what is this called? Your health insurance as well as your pension subsidized by working for them. So it is just in every single way, if you can find, if you're thinking that I want to teach and I want to teach for a little bit longer, finding a direct hire position is absolutely better than a dispatch company. There's just no two ways around it. The water is not muddy in this case. Then, anticipating a question that would follow this, how can I get one? A great way to do this is to actually look in an area where you're interested to teach and go to that Board of Education's website, and they will actually post for the job postings there. And if you think that it's in April that they're going to start a new term, if you were to look there something like 3 or 4 months beforehand, that's probably going to time it well for you. Where can I find a job? So the easy one, this is funny, I've been out of this for a while. It's, what is it? I can't even remember the name of it. Okay, so the one that I would recommend avoiding is the one that everybody knows. Put it in the comments down below. I can't even remember it. But the ones that I would say that you should use, not that one, because it's totally saturated, whatever that is. But look at ohiosensei.com. That's a great one. They're always posting like a variety of positions too, whether it's a shiritsu, like private school, or public school positions, and even some, well, you get a lot of eikaiwas there. You get a big mix on Ohio Sensei, and it's all over the place, but it means that if you're watching it closely, you could strike gold. And then if you have a more advanced education, and many people that have written to me do, then I would suggest going to jalt.com. That's jalt.org maybe? Jalt.com, jalt.org, jalt.org. And they post high-level positions there. And that'll be for universities and more prestigious schools that you could get into where you can expect a much higher salary that you're going to get, better benefits, things along that line. So those are the two that I would recommend. It is hilarious. Gaijin Pot. Is that what it's called? There, it finally came to me. That's hilarious that I would forget that. Been out of the game too long. But as much as you possibly can, avoid Gaijin Pot because it is mega saturated as a result of how many people know that it exists, and you'll submit a resume and it'll be like, thank you for your resume. 200 other people have applied for this shitty job. So don't use it so much. And that point I will reiterate is that it is so worth following these sites, because if you do, then it's just like watching a housing market. You see the houses come onto the market, come off, you get a sense of what's good, what's bad. You become much better at being able to identify what is going to be a better job and one that really suits you. If you have any questions, I would have put my contact information down below at the bottom of the screen. That's contact@DaveTrippinJapan.com. Please do check out my website. Please do consider supporting me on Patreon, because that's what allows me to become buoyant and get more gear and do all this fun stuff that I do around the channel. Really appreciate that for those already supporting me. I have my dedicated podcast channel, the Interstice Podcast. So if you want to go over there for more long format content, that is shared down in the description of this video as well. I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the comments, all the positive reinforcement. More of the high quality, well edited, cool, more artistic videos to come shortly. I've got my note of which that will be, and it should be released next week. Take care out there. Hug the ones you love. Stay healthy, stay safe. That's all for now. Peace.